Hello, I am Chaofeng Huo, from Shanghai Tech University. I am going to present our work, StackFLOW, Monocular Human Object Reconstruction by Stacked Normalizing Flow with Offset. For a decade, the 3D information recovery of the human and the object from the image was studied alone, without considering their interaction. Recently, some works have focused on reconstructing the human and the object jointly. These studies suggest that integrating the human with the surrounding objects can produce physically consistent results and that the consideration of the human-object context can improve the reconstruction accuracy of both even more. In the Monocular Human-Object Reconstruction task, we aim at reconstructing human mesh and object mesh jointly from a single view image. Reconstructing the human mesh and the object mesh from scratch is difficult. The shape prior of human and object are introduced to make it easier. For the human, we have the SMPL model, which is the most widely used skinned linear model. For objects, we have the pre-scanned meshes or predefined CAD models that are known before. With these shape priors, we only need to regress the body pose theta, the shape beta of SMPL, the global orientation and translation of SMPL in the world coordinate system, the rotation and translation of object without the need to reconstruct the complete meshes from scratch. Then the monocular human object reconstruction task can be treated as a hybridized task which contains the human shape and pose estimation task and the object 6D pose estimation task. If we treat these two tasks separately, we may be in trouble. These examples show the results computed by the completely separated two models. The human mesh is reconstructed by a human mesh recovery model called PRO-HMR, and the object mesh is reconstructed by another object 6D estimation model called ePRO-PNP. From these examples, we see that reconstructing human and object in isolation will produce inconsistent results such as a floating object in the air or interpolation between the human and the object. Based on this observation, recent works attempt to introduce different models to constrain the pose and the position of human and object. Zhang et al. Introduced the contact map to refine the pose of human and object by drawing closer contact points in the human and the object mesh. Xie et al. Applied the implicit distance field to model the spatial relation of the human and the object. But these two representations of human-object spatial relation both have limitations. The contact map only preserves the local contact information and cannot model the non-contact interaction types such as watching or pointing to. The implicit distance field is suitable to model the 3D object shape, but in modeling human-object spatial relationship, it is low efficient and the relation is encoded using functionalized representation implicitly. In this work, we present a simple, efficient, and explicit vectorized representation to encode the human-object spatial relations using human-object offsets. The human-object offsets are defined as the offsets between two sets of anchors. To get these human-object offsets, we first randomly sample anchor points from the surface of human mesh and the object mesh. These human-object offsets are calculated by subtracting the object anchor coordinates from the human anchor coordinates. These dense offsets capture a highly detailed correlation between human parts and object parts. The human-object offset is representative. We can recover human body pose and object 6D pose from them by controlling the position of anchors. We have shown several examples on the right. The poses of human and object are refined from the initial pose by optimizing the human-object offsets. To obtain a more compact representation of human-object spatial relation, we use principal components analysis to construct latent spatial relation space. We first collect all human-object instances from the training dataset and calculate the offsets between human anchors and object anchors. These offsets are concatenated together to get vector x. After we collect all HOI instances in the training dataset, we will get a very big matrix. PCA is then applied to this matrix to reduce the dimension of these vectors to very low dimensions such as 32. This process is reversible. Given a hidden vector gamma from human-object spatial relation space, we can reproject it into x-hat and get the offsets between human anchors and object anchors. Then the human object instance can be recovered by optimizing these human object offsets. Based on the constructed human object spatial relation space, we propose a model named StackFLOW to perceive the human-object spatial relation from a single view image. This model is inspired by Pro-HMR. But what's different is that we decouple the original normalizing flow into two subflows, the human pose flow and the offset flow. During the experiment, we find that this design can ease the training process. Another benefit of this design is that we can reconstruct the human object instance from the initial human pose and the offsets very efficiently. More details can be found in our paper. The StackFLOW gives us a coarse posterior distribution of the input image. To make results aligned well with the input image, we fine-tune the results in post-optimization stage. Before the post-optimization stage, we use StackFLOW to get the posterior distribution of human-object spatial relation from the input image. And use OpenPose and ePro-PNP to get the 2D keypoints of person and the 2D 3D coordinate maps of object. We optimize the pose of human and object by minimizing 2D 3D reprojection loss and posterior distribution loss using the Atom Optimizer. We conduct experiments on two indoor datasets, Behave and Intercap. In these two datasets, we outperform previous methods. It is noteworthy that our method outperforms CHOR by 16% in terms for reconstruction accuracy, with a reduction of over 88% in time consumed during the optimization stage. We compare our method against CHOR and BSTROHOI qualitatively for heavy occlusion cases in this figure. In some cases, the state-of-the-art method fails, but our method can still produce plausible results. Our method can deal with heavy occlusion cases. From these cases, we can see that when objects are heavily occluded by humans or some human body parts are heavily occluded by objects, our method can still draw hints from visible human body parts or objects to guess the potential position of the object or potential human body pose by means of HO offset. Although we only consider the interaction between a single person and a single object, our method can easily be extended to other cases such as interaction with multi-object or HOI tracking. However, despite the impressive results achieved by our method, we find our method lack of the ability of generality. When our model is trained in Behave or Intercap dataset only, it cannot generalize to the image in the wild. Thanks for watching.